Okay, so welcome everyone. Sawadee from Thailand. I'm actually in Hua Hin. What we are going to do today is explain how we work with the uncommon sense, with Global Disk, with Global Quest, with our solutions, and we have two master trainers here. Myself, I'm Sinto, and after we have Wika Gur, who is from Indonesia, but she's living in Australia. So there is no agenda. So the agenda is very easy to explain. So first I will go first, and after it will go Wiki. And after we can have a lot of questions and chat about what you are going to see. Okay, so let's start. So this is the part from ICQ Global Asia. What I'm going to share with you is one of the cases that I have, and I'm still working with, and how I use the solutions that we have in ICQ Global. So my name is Sinto. I'm Spanish, 49 years. I live in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, since 3 years ago. I've been 5 years in Asia, in 10 different countries working. And now actually I'm an ICQ Global Master Trainer. I will not explain you my background. I will show you my profile. I'm, as you can see, I'm an I person. We have the beautiful idea to put me first because I'm a little bit shy to talk, as you can see not. And I have my site is kind of IS, so I discovered that I have a dominance and a compliance not very while ago. So it was only 2 years ago when I started with this, and it kind of switched my perception about about myself. You know, I get a lot of self-awareness. So here I am, and let's go. So this is my mindset map that, as you know, we have it in Global Disk. Here is where I am, and my two biggest kind of priority human needs are contribution and growth. My high one is contribution. Okay, so what I'm going to explain to you is a case study in Philippines with 60 employees and 6 top leaders. We have Philippines, we have a English guy, an American guy, and a Dutch guy who are working there. So what happened is I get a call from the American guy who was a key leader, and he told me, I don't understand. I think that we don't understand one each other, and you know, these people don't get me, right? So the outcome that they was looking for, it was a, you know, the problem that they get is an internal communication issue, apparently, and the desired outcome is improve the communication and eliminate kind of internal fights that they was having, right? So what happened, how I see my work is a, you know, kind of an intervention process. We can use different methodologies, but everyone, we have our own kind of methodology, right? So what happened is I have a client that needs help, and he wants an outcome, he or she wants an outcome, right? So what I do is I go in a analysis stage. After I go to the second stage where we define the outcomes and the strategy that we will follow. After we execute and after we get the results, we make a new analysis and we can redefine if we have more objectives, right? So what happened is when I was struggle is to find a quite kind of basic methodology, a kind of basic solution to start, right? Because what I was seeing is that many times when I was working with clients, they want to play chess, but they don't know how to move the pieces, right? So you need to have something very kind of the foundation. For me, if the foundation is right, the methodology to apply, it will be right. But if there is no foundation, there is no methodology. So that's the reason behind that I really excited to work with Global Disc, and that's why I'm master trainer, because I'm completely freaked out about Global Disc and what I can provide in the foundation of to build trust or to build awareness to after work in team coaching or in business. Okay, so the intervention process that I get with these people, I first have a chemistry session. After I put a workshop and a retreat date in this chemistry session, okay, we go ahead, let's do it. And first of all, we make a pre-workshop work. So we send them the global disc assessment, and I get 1 week to see the profiles of each one. After we do a workshop the first day that we get with the global disc general information, and the workshop in the second day, we have an individual profile and a self-awareness exercises. This is how I work with them. In the second day is when I challenge them and when I put them in the uncommon sense of the other people, right? After we get the insights, the overview, and an introduction to the global quest, so they all receive the global quest and how they can work with during the 3 months, and I monitor them, right? So everything is always going by talking, and I really like to get interactive sessions with the teams that I'm working with, and challenge them and put them in situations to see the other point of view, to see this common sense from the other side, right? So what is Global Disc is a 42 pages of personal intercultural report defining your what, your how, and your why through 2 communication dimensions and 3 behavioral dimensions, right? We have this is my one, and after we have my page 6, 7, and 8 is what generally I make them read to be aware about and to discover how they are, or what are the insights, and if they have any issue, they can come into me. In the portal, what we can do, we can download the report, we can send to the report to the participant, we can compare with a group, we can compare with individuals, we can do a lot of things in our portal, and I really love to squeeze all the things that I can do with the portal. So what happened is that we work with this kind of really trendy concept that is diversity and inclusion, but with Global Disc and especially with the team report, we can work with the cognitive diversity. That is the gold mine of the diversity and inclusion. Is where we work really with cognitive diversity. We work with inclusion, right? So what happened is I do work in a very simple way with my clients, and what I do is I make them to try to make them understand things. I just make some arrows and put them in this kind of perspective, right? What I'm going to share you is what I exactly share with my clients, right? And how I explain them things, right? Especially they need to get a big picture, and after we can go more in detail. We chunk up and after we going down, right? So this is the people that I was working with, who I'm working with is John, Robert, Tony, Annie, Andy, and Lucas. They have different names at the reality, but they are the real profiles here, right? So as you can see, you have people who is very kind of expressive and really task oriented, and we have the Filipino side that we have 2 people that is more people oriented, and we have someone who is no expressive, that is Lucas, is the last person who joined the group. At the end, what I do is I start to work with them, and I get the group profile. What I have is a medium diversity, the 58%, and what happened is the team behave with kind of direction. The reason, especially principal reason, is because the key leader is 60% direction. And we are working with an IT company, so they need to have processes. And the first insight that I get is say, wow, with 80% of C, they have some kind of issues on processes. This was my analysis previous to the meeting, right? So, okay, they are very task oriented. and they are kind of expressive. There is kind of expression, you know, there are emotions in the meetings or in this kind of team leaders, right? So what happened is I have to compare with Philippines. I have the profile, the cultural profile of Philippines, and suddenly I see that it's completely opposite that the leaders, right? And it gave me the insight that probably in the company, the kind of the staff will not kind of express themselves, and they will, yeah, they take everything that, you know, the direction is saying. So there is no confrontational, hierarchical, and, you know, this kind of stuff is the insights that I get, right? So at the end, you have to compare 33% direction and 80% of competence with the 10% and 10%. So at the end, they are very, let's say, submiss. This is what I found out, right? So the thing is, the main issue that I noticed when I was communicating with them, when I was observing them, not only in the meetings, yes, during the lunch, during our retreat, right? It was a big confrontation between the American guy and the British guy. And if you can see the profiles, we have 60% direction against 27, 26. So it was happening is that the direction, it was very driven, and the other person, it was more process oriented, and they was all time fighting. What happened, it was very, very expressive, and the person who is more in the direction side, so it was kind of very expressive and dominant, right? And sometimes even behaving with unresourceful behaviors. Okay, so the insight that I get in the first, after the first 2 days, is that, of course, that they get a yearly record of sales during the first 3 years. So they was very driven, very result oriented, and they was not very care. They were not taking care about the services and the processes because it was not priority. The leadership, it was more driven. Let's make sales, let's make sales, let's make sales. And there was a big confrontation between sales and finance. Sales was the American guy, finance, it was the British guy, right? So, okay, so we get to the last day of the retreat, and what we decide to together is to get focused in the internal processes, redefine the internal communication, to give authority to each departmental head, that it was a kind of, it was not only one head and all the rest are kind of obeying what he was saying, and look for the new trends and observe the competition to see how everything was going, right? You just look at a little bit what the competition is doing. So this is what we define, and okay, when they execute, we give them the global quest for each of the leaders. We make a roadmap on meetings. We did a copy. Let's work on that. Let's make a new quarter, and we get the responsibility in the two main leaders in terms of to give to the person, the British guy, to go more with the finance and more the processes. So everyone in the meeting, it was kind of agree with everything, and we put the quarter 3 as a deadline. Okay, so what happened is the leader who was the key leader, the more direct, the more driven, he said, yeah, we will do it, no problem. And what happened, that I received a call of help, you know, I said before the Q3, the end of the Q3. Okay, so what happened? Wow, I called them again, we said, oh, we have a new situation because the key leader already leaves, right? And why the guy leaves? Because he have a more interesting offer, he's more driven, he have more money in another company, so he left. And because the sales are decreasing, because they have new players, they was not looking for this new these new trends or the new players in the field, right? So the client retention that they have is only 52%. So they was losing 48 of their clients because there was not follow-up and service in the processes, right? So what happened is we get now a new leadership style that is kind of more finance process and more cautious, not really driven. Okay, so again we go to the intervention process and I go again to the global disc as a group. Okay, I see that the cognitive diversity doesn't move. I have a 58%, and what happened is the direction it drops and the process it goes a little bit up. It means that this 27 and 25% it goes more to the people orient side. So that means that okay, the company, the guys, the staff, it will be more kind of the environment, it will be fit more with the leadership now, maybe. Okay, so what happened is the new leader compare with Philippines, with let's say the kind of the cultural environment that we are working with. At least we have a people orient, and we have expressive, and in Philippines we have more kind of cautious, right? So they're more neutral. So that means that we can work with. And what happened is when I analyze the new leader, we have a 27% of influence and a 20% of steadiness, right? And what happened is the guy is expressive and is more task oriented, but with this kind of behavior that he has, it will be kind of easy to go more not uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable, but not really uncomfortable. Like the previous leader, it was 60%, and to move to the people oriented in terms of driven, it was kind of more easy. So we take the opportunity and we redefine the outcomes and the strategy. So we did 3 days of retreat where we put the whole company, all the staff together, recognizing the company values. We did the leaders with the leaders meeting, and we did one-on-ones with the company leaders, right? So we create a new position to get aware about the processes and especially the service to the clients to take this retention back. And we create a clients hotline, and we did a thematic goal exercise from Patrick Lencioni methodology. As I said before, I use methodologies with the foundation of always global disc. And I did the ideal exercise as well from Patrick Lencioni. Okay, so this is, for example, the ideal team player exercise from Lucas, that he evaluate himself. He have a self score, and after the other people evaluate him, right? So what we did is we made an average score, and after I explained to him in a kind of private session that how he see him himself is completely different, or you have a high differences in how the others see him. So he started to understand. So at the end, he knows more the uncommon sense of the others with the personalities, and he can accommodate himself. He understand, the others understand him even better. So this is the ways that I'm working with, right? So what happened is the last time I met them, it was last week, and we have 2 new players that they want to put in the team, and they ask to me, what do you think about that? And I say, okay, let's talk about what we can do with the profiles. We did the assessment for them, and we have a guy who is, and we have a guy who is 47% direction and 40% C, and the other guy is 27. So what we want is to work with processes. We go a cognitive diversity index, it grows 8% more, and we kind of we gain in the processes, right? So this is the point where we are. We start to, and we will now work again with them. So I think that this is what I have to explain. To be continued.
Okay, so my name is Wika Gur, born in Indonesia, and I've been living in Australia for 22 years. Now I divide my time between Perth, Jakarta, and Arnhem in the Netherlands. I'm currently in Perth. I have a marketing and communication background. I also a founder of an online Indonesian language online resource. I'm also a songwriter, and the most important thing is I'm a global disc master trainer. That's why I'm here, to share my experience using the global disc. Okay, the topic today is about change. My experience with people around me, with the company and all that, when they talk about change, they want instant change. I think especially now the young generation, when they want to change, they treat it like a remote control. They just press the button and then everything is changed. People start to forget that change is actually a journey. So I actually would like to know from you guys, what kind of support do you think employees need the most when you want to guarantee the success of a change in the company? So if you have any idea, I have like some ideas here. If you agree with my ideas, you can put number 1, 2, or 3, or if you have any other ideas, you can put it on the chat box. Okay. All right. Okay. Sinto, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I have in mind. So usually, employee needs structured change management approach. Some people think reward and punishment scheme works better, and a targeted training program or start from the top management. So there's so many theory and information about how we should apply changes in the company. So I also noticed everybody knows what they want. Oh, I want a company that is that have good teamwork, for example, or I want my employee reach the target at a certain date. So everybody actually know what they want. What I noticed is not everyone knows where is the starting point. So this is very important. So I got a lot of call. Oh, I want to have a change management in my company. I want to change the culture. I want to do this. And every time if I ask them, okay, where are you now? So not many people realize that. That's where I think, this is where the global disc come in, because the global disc can give me a perspective on where everybody is. So yeah, so I was approached by another global disc trainer who is actually, he's not here today. He is actually a mining engineer. So he wasn't an intercultural consultant or coach or trainer at all before. So he was certified after I got certified. So when he said that, oh, I was approached by this mining company, he wants to change and all that, and then he asked me if I can join him, because he doesn't have experience in yet in the intercultural, how to train people and all that. So we approached this client together, and it's a mining company, one of the big one in Indonesia. So our first meeting is started with sitting with the board of management, the board of director, and then we asked them to do global disc as well, because we want to know how they work together. If they want to apply change to the company, we need to know how they work together. So it's interesting. So on the first instant, we notice there's they're having interaction gaps between themselves as well. And then the next stage that we find out that they want to apply a safety culture on about 6 or 7 contractor in the mining side. So yeah, about eight contractor, and each contractor is a different company, which they have their own board management as well. So at that point we were like, oh my God, okay, all right. That means, okay, we start counting how many people we need to assess and all that. And then along the way, we also realized this contractor work together and then know each other because some are working on hauling, some are on transport, some all the process they work together. So they're separate company, but they have to work together for this big company. And then as we go along, we find out these people are interconnected to each other, and it turns out there are about 8,000 people. That was a shock for us, but me being a consultant, I cannot show that I'm shocked. Okay, so I said, okay, we have to sit down and then downsize. We need to find who actually the stakeholder, the most important stakeholder. So we tell the board that, okay, we collect the most important, we identify the most important stakeholder in the inner circle first. And then because we cannot do or apply a program to these 8,000 people or employee all together at once. So if you see there are the three buses here, this is just my symbol to explain to the management that, okay, if we want to go from A to B, we definitely need a vehicle. And how many vehicle do we need? It depends on how many stakeholders that you want to get involved in the first stage. So if we need one, we just select, probably if one bus only 20 people, we just select 20 people. So we start identifying the most important people that can be our influencer or the change agents in the field. And then it started with 20 and then 30 and then go up to 40 and then 50 and then until 100 we have to put stop in that, because above 100 it will be too big, because we need to create a pilot project first with this company. So with this 100 people, we use Global This again, because we need to know who they are, the character, where the interaction gap and all that. So we do this Global This, we analyze, we assess this 100 people with Global This. The second stage is, we cannot just use this Global This result as our base to create a change management program. So we have to do like Sinto did with his client, the one-on-one interview to validate the assessment report first, and also to find out whether all these people are at the same place, are at the same stage. Because we believe if we want to move from A to B, I don't think all of these are in A. Maybe some of them are already in the middle. So we need to know everybody position in the company. Maybe these people already moving towards the change. Maybe one person still somewhere else. So after the Global This assessment, we start to sit down with them to find out where these people are. And then it turns out these people are everywhere. It's not in one spot. That means when we move from A to B, maybe in the first stage, we just need to pick up the first 5 people. And then as we go along, we pick up another one, because the effect of change, the change impact is different from one people to another. And we believe the problem identification and ownership or any action towards change begin in the people in the community itself. And when we go to the site, we realize that there are people in the field who are already doing things a better way. It's just they're not noticed. So we need to isolate these people who are doing the right way. Maybe we can use this as a base and make them involved. So the next stage is to find out who are doing right already, who are not, who already understand and all that. This is what we did for the next step. So we make sure everybody has the same direction. We make sure everybody understand where we are going. And then the next, from Global This, we spoke to them one by one to make them aware who they are. And this is really, really a rich experience for me, because when I used to coach senior leaders, it's a different experience, but the people that I deal here, most of them are those who are at the bottom of the structure of organization. So the impact that I experience is really amazing. These people, most of them, they don't have self-awareness. So when they realize who they are, some of them are in tears, knowing that they actually have some strength in them. So it's really good. I think for me, it's also a quest for myself dealing with these people. And then we told them, we coach them, we have a workshop talking about group awareness, and then problem identification, what happened between them, because one problem might be big for another, maybe for other, maybe it's just a small problem. So this identification, we do it. And then we also coach them how to build team synergy between them, especially between contractors, because each contractors, because they're different company, they have different culture. So putting them together has been always an issue. And then we also find there's interaction gaps. We also assess readiness. Some people are not ready for change. Some of them cannot wait to change. We also identify the intercultural sensitivity among them. And then we align the perception. This is another thing that we have to do with these 100 people. We align the perception for anybody, from everyone, to each one of them, so we can move together. And also, definitely, the communication gap. We also ask them what kind of support they need for them to move on or to support this change. And then, of course, but potential identification, there's also another rich experience for us, because there's so many of them don't realize what potential they have, what they miss, what strength, what's the weakness. Some of them even told us that, oh, I really thank Global This, because of Global This now I can talk to my daughter, something like that. So I mean, the effect really trickled down to their own personal life. And then we also identify how to build, we also identify where the trust is broken, how to build relationship between them and all that. And the most important thing is, okay, the change impact. We measure the change impact. We not measure yet, but we identify the change impact that might happen if the program of this safety program is rolled out. Some of them might think that, oh, it's gonna add some more hours to my work, or this is just 2 hours. So we classify, we group them to who has the low impact, who has the medium impact, and who has the high impact. So I think we all know why change is not happening in most company. So so many times you have people with the intention and the goal try talking to the middle management, and then because the interaction gap is there, the program that they develop is not the same, it doesn't have the same intention like it's supposed to be. And then it trickled down to the execution. There's another gap again. So that's what happens, especially in a big company or a company that deals with so many small companies. Okay, so from here, we didn't stop talking to them. So after interviewing them, we go back to them to basically coach them with how to build their confidence, how to make them understand the program, teach them how to execute the program, and then along the way we find out, okay, why things doesn't work in certain stage. So we start from the beginning again in implementing, because most of the company have their own safety program, and the head office or the big mining company, the corporate, they have to put them together. So it's like a one program. We have to integrate each of the program that they own, become one big program, so that we all work together. So there's different way of them understanding how to address the direction of the change. That's the beginning. Everybody has to go to the same direction. Some people needs to be, you have to really talk loud, clear, low context and all that. Some of them prefer social media or email or maybe Twitter, or maybe some of them will be maybe needs to be delivered the message. In some cases, we need middleman to bridge the communication gap. And after all this identified, then the middle management are able to create the program that will suit the needs of the people in the field. Again, we use global this again to tailor-made, to revise the program, to make sure the delivery is according to the needs of people in the field. From there, they are able to determine what kind of vehicle they need to deliver the safety program. And then they can also identify the tools, the management support that they need, because some people can change very fast, some has to run, some maybe walks, maybe some need wheelchair, maybe some of them still make a baby step to work, to move towards the change. And each step from the left to the right, we measure the impact, we measure the KPI, we measure where is the failure rate and all that. Okay, so I think we all know that as an external consultant, why we are called or why they need us, because they want independent and objective perspective on what needs to be changed and how it should be achieved. What differentiates whether we are succeed or fail in helping companies in their change management programs, what I find so far is the entire top management cooperation is very, very important, because if you don't have their support, nobody will listen to us. And the second one is the office politics. This is really can be hard and can be complicated, especially when the program is a long-term program, and then in Asia, it's easy to mix between business and personal, and that's what happened with our client. We become friends, and in that sense, I have to keep reminding myself, okay, this is professional, because otherwise we get tangled into their politics, which we don't want to. And also sometimes they use us to achieve their own target within the company. So the office politics can be, that's what we have to be aware of. And we also need full disclose information, because if they hold any information, our program is at risk to be failed. And another thing is what I really also find very useful is it's very important that we have experience in the similar industries. In this case, I don't have any mining background. I know nothing about mining, but because I work together with another global disc consultant who has a mining background, that's why it works. It becomes, I think it becomes powerful. We as a consultant, like a team, come in with expertise. So that's what I will always do. So if I want to enter hospitality industry, I will team up with someone who are expert in hospitality, because that's globalist itself. You come in as a globalist consultant without advice of what needs to be done after that, I don't think it will be complete. Okay, so global this year. So this sliding scale is actually my favorite tools. It's my weapon. It's my beautiful weapon, because from sliding scale, I can easily break the ice. I can easily pinpoint their problem in seconds. I can play like a fortune teller. Oh, you're like this. I can read them. I can read their mind. Things like that. I really enjoy. And then the jokes, and then the entertainment can come from here. Very easy for me. And then even in the informal conversation, I can start selling global this through sliding scale. And people like it. That's my experience. People like this topic. And especially when you talk about this 5 dimension of global this, like the 2 communication dimension and then the behavior dimension. And I think for me personally, global this is like music. Well, if you play music, I'm sure you know that music is actually you only have 12 notes. With 12 notes, you can play any song you like. You can play simple song, you can play complicated song, you can play any genre of music. And as Chaba always say, global this is just a tool. The magic comes from the mindset and the people who use it. So it's really up to us how we want to how we want to use global this to create magic for our client. It's okay if you just want to make a simple song using 1 piano, or maybe you want to add a singer, or maybe you can add again a 3-band team, or maybe, to me, I love it when I can create an orchestra for my client. It's really, really powerful. So yeah, so that's my short experience using global this. So if you have any question, maybe I missed something in my story, please feel free to ask. And I give this floor back to Sinto as a host. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the music, Wika. Thank you very much. So now it's time for questions. You can unmute yourself regarding how I know. And we will go with this. You can unmute if you want, and just do this. So I read already 2 questions here. One for Gilf, that it was when we're doing the global disc team analysis, are you looking at leader to leader comparisons, leader to workers, or team to team? Yes, in my case, I have a couple of clients, and these from Philippines, I didn't have the chance to assess the team, the whole team. In another case, I work with other clients that they have different teams, and yes, I measure the differences between them, and even you can move the one leader, and you can put how they can interact with the others, how the cognitive diversity will move. Sometimes even they ask me, what do you think about this person? And when you take out this person and you make the team report, you realize that you lose maybe 12% because they see this person as strange, and it's when you can explain them, yes, because you are in acting like homophilic diversity, and this person is the strange because his person is completely opposite than you guys, and you have 4 people and that they are behaving very similar, and this other person is a kind of a strange person in the group, but it's the one who can add a lot of value if they understand the uncommon sense of this person. So this is, I don't know if I reply you, Geoff, the question. So we have more questions here. Oh yes, Stefan, thank you for the, I put the mic, the mic I was having different, so can you hear me well? Okay. So Geoff, can you hear me? My reply was clear or not? And another.
Yes, that was good, thanks.
Oh, thank you. So the other question that I have, it was here, I think it was from Dennis. Dennis, how are you? Another entire day of general information about the global disk. Yeah, we can organize whenever you want about the general information. If not, maybe private or whatever, we can just email. And we have another one. It was from Veronica, how the tool measure change and how do you link the tool and changes? Veronica, can you unmute and can you ask the question? Because I don't want to answer if maybe I don't understand properly.
No, in fact, hello everybody. She started to explain the change that the company must to do, or how to move from the point A to point B. And at the beginning, I didn't understand how the tool, the assessment, linked with this change. After you say, okay, you coach the people to fill the gap. If I understood. Yeah, it's in this, you have the diagnostic, and after, by coaching or by doing training, you try the people feel to decrease the gap. This is the idea?
Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, in my case, for example, in the beginning, we need to know how many people understand the change itself, because before we apply the change, we need to know how many people buy into the concept of change. And then if it's only like probably 10 people among the 100, the question is why they don't understand, why they cannot buy in the change. Is it because they don't understand the concept? Is it because they don't agree, or is it because the way they communicate? So the global disk helped me to find out through their character. Some people just don't communicate really well, or some people, because of the hierarchy problem in a certain community, they just don't want to accept change. And these people that we choose as our change agents on the field is not only formal, like it's not only people who has position in the organization structure, but we also choose half of them informal, we call it informal leader. I don't know how is it in your country, but in Indonesia, even though you don't have any position in the company, but if you are leading prayer every Friday, these people have influence among the people surrounding. Or if these people are very influential when every lunchtime, so what, even though these people can be powerful, because we have one people, he's only a truck driver, but he is so sociable. Whatever he say, people just follow. And then we find out he doesn't have any enough understanding about the concept of change. So that's where we come in, and then we create a program for this person, how to make this person understand. So imagine if this person understand inside out of the change concept, all we need to do, okay, you just tell your people around you, and then 600 people will just follow him immediately, automatically. So this kind of dynamic that we are trying to identify in the field. And then yes, we have a big program, but when it comes to individual, that's how we relate global this to individual coaching program until all these people can meet in the same direction. Am I answering your question?
Yes, if I well understood, is more identify the people who can drive change, than the tool is linked with the behavior of change. It's like that.
Yeah, something like something like that. That's just one example, and then because the global this which show the personality of these people also help us when we create the team to roll out a safety culture in certain stage of the coal mining production, something like that. So it's a really detailed step by step and stage by stage program.
Okay, so I have two questions more. if I can ask.
Sure.
Okay, one is Cinto, you in your example you showed that the country profile from Indonesia. How the assessment build this country profile? Where did it come from?
I was showing Philippines, but we can have Indonesia too.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very nice question. I think that I can reply properly. If there is someone here who can have another kind of better answer, but is how is defined through all the intercultural models and the last update of Globe with a tool that our dear Chaba is using with the updates, and he's, you know, that we can even give a better information. I think that Chaba already joined.
Okay, I will ask him. Or,
you know, but I think that is yes, I think that is correct. You know, it's the intercultural, all the intercultural kind of profiles. Studies that they are, methodologies that they are, plus the last update of Globe, and he's always updated, right? This is the kind of explanation that I gave to you. It's not that we take it from nowhere and we put it, right? So and he's incredible because
your mic is playing up.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Macro.
Yeah. So the thing is, let me just tell you, you know, from Thailand, for example, in a company that I have, I assess 26 ties and only one it fits with the country.
Okay.
Okay, so this is, you know, that culture is what the culture is what you should do, and the personality what you want to do. So it's quite important.
And my third question is about. It seemed to me that the example that you show us was more than the people as an impression, than the people must fix in the tool and not using the tool as a way to bring conversation. Because for me, every assessment that I use for me is something that helped me to bring the conversation on the table, more than put the people in boxes and, okay, this is something that we can do, it's an assessment, it's a model, you can agree or not with your personal profile, but this assessment help the people to start a conversation and after going on in their need or their flow. So for me, and the example that you show it is more that the people need to fix or to fit in the assessment. What your impression? Maybe I.
Well, the thing is, at the end, what I take when I do the assessment, I completely agree with you, and I always tell them that what they have is a blueprint. We don't put people in boxes, right? But they have at least something to start to talk about that and to realize, especially when you give them the underlying values and beliefs that they have there, right? So they can start to realize. And what I don't really get is your question about if the presentation looks like we are looking for something. I don't really get it. Can you?
Yeah, I think the tool is important. I perceive that the presentation than the tool or the assessment, the global dig is important. Is the focus, and the people is around. And for me, it's the opposite. The people is important, and an assessment. Every assessment is more to help these kind of people. So I think the focus is different. This is my perception that you presented. Both.
I think that, well, what we have is a solution, and we need to, for me, for example, what I use is the guide to can understand the kind of the blueprint, right? And the vocabulary to talk about them as a person and the cultural differences and the environment that they are working with, right? Or they can affect to them, right? So for you understand, for example, in the case of the Philippines, I get a person who is a D, right? The kind of high, and we can see his kind of behaviors as a more kind of high D personality that he has, driven, very emotional. And when he's in the environment of Philippines, he even see the hierarchy, so he feels even more kind of master in that case. When he realized, he start to go to the other side with the culture, right? And he start to understand. You know what I mean? So, but at the end, is a blueprint, as you said, that is a kind of communication. You need to put them in a situation, because if they need to understand what is the uncommon sense of the other person, and when someone, for example, don't speak up, right? You need to kind of help them to understand that they can speak up, or why they don't speak up, right? And this is the thing.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if I answered the question or whatever, but at the end, when we are working, for me, from my perspective, when I'm working with clients, I need to show you need to show them something. You cannot tell them, hey, this is your assessment, but this is you are not like this. Well, this is a blueprint, and here is when we have a reference, and we can move, and we can start to understand, right? Because at the end, you need to show them something, and you open the conversation, right? And when they give them the quest, so in the quest, they start to realize many other stuff. You know what I mean? So this is how I see it.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Anything?
People who leave.
Cinto, I also have a question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
And sorry, maybe that was also asked earlier, but I had to work parallel, and maybe I didn't listen carefully. So sorry for that if I ask this again in another context. But according to your example, if you start to work with a group of people and you send out the global disc assessment,
Yeah.
how can you show the management above those people that they are improving? Of course, there is some significant change in their work ethics, maybe, or behavior, or I don't know. But I think here about like something like numbers or percentages, as many of the leaders who are leading those people are interested only in numbers, so they don't usually fucking care about the people itself. They just want to have those people work together as a team. So my question is, like, do you have anything in your pocket or in your sleeves as an ace of spades with which you can prove that the methodologies and global disc are working, but in numbers?
To work in, you mean in numbers and a second assessment, something like that? You mean?
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, I think that it is kind of in my case is you see by improvement. In the case that I explain, in terms of the Philippines, right? What we have now, the new scenario that we are having now, is kind of more fit more for a change of the company. They are going to the processes, and is the results of the company who is not measuring again, doing another assessment how they improving, because at the end what happened is they realize how they are, and what they do is they what we are trying to do and what we are achieving now is that the comfort zone, it gets amplified after the quest and doing coaching sessions, and especially what doing a lot of teamwork and and sessions with the team, and they start to understand better one each other, right? In the case of this company, before, it was very tough to do it because the leader, it was very kind of I'm the only one and I know everything, right? And he was the one, is really kind of interesting because he was the one who kind of bring me in there to try to how to say, to fix them, to fix the others, not him, right? So and this comes later with the work that would realize other things, right? So that's in this case of Philippines, but especially how I measure is with the results that they get, right? In another case that I have for a relocation, the company was aiming for 20 people, and at the end they moved 24, right? And it was 14 at the beginning, and we moved to 24 because they start to work like a team, right? And it was very process-oriented team. So I think it's not in the measuring again. I think that the results are coming with the outcome that you are looking for. You are achieving the outcome, and it is when they see it. But the main thing is that they don't have to change themselves. That they need to is to amplify their comfort zone. This is the main thing. I don't know if I reply well.
Well,
Yeah,
if I
thank
can,
you.
yeah, if I can add, in my case, we do measure in number because it's in a mining company, everything is about number. We cannot talk intangible. So what some of the measurement that we that was used is if it were used to be about 16 accidents per week. So if it's now suddenly there's no accident in that week, that's for us is a sign of improvement, that safety has become the culture of people on the ground, in the field. That's just one example. Another example can be in the number of hours that they work. If if these people doesn't have to add their working hours just to be safe, that means they become more effective and efficient in their work. So we do a lot of measurement in every stage of production process. So it's not just one. It's not just okay, there's no more accident, that's it. But along the way, along the process, there are measuring. There's benchmark that we set up.
Okay, so you're saying, if I understood you correctly, that you're setting up KPIs at the beginning of the process, and then you measure those KPIs along the road, so to speak, and then you can use the numbers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't really set up the KPI as a target because we don't know the capability of every one of them in the field. So if we set too high, we can get a fail result at the end. So we assess their ability, the strength, the weaknesses of every one of them. If they show improvement, what we do is we categorize it into 3 categories: low, medium, and high. So that's what we present. Okay, from 120 people are in low category, so they don't need to be coached. They can immediately apply the change. But for those in high, that means they need more intervention in their day-to-day program. So that's how we classify it, because we cannot use one number as KPI for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Ike.
Yeah, so that's from my experience.
Yeah, I was asking because I also would like to implement global disc into the company where I'm working right now. And what I do know that here the big bosses would like to see the numbers, and this is why I asked. Like, it's not only efficiency or teamwork, which they can measure or which they see, but also they need to see numbers on papers. Of course, I can give them numbers, like I write number 2 on a paper and I put it in front of their faces. But regarding the measurement, and of course, because HR culture is also really high in such multinational companies, it's also a good point to I think to sit together with the HR as well and define also some key KPIs with them, not only with the operations, but also with the HR, and then with maybe the leadership. So from three aspects, many KPIs can be put together, with which can be displayed in numbers during the course of actions and during the assessments. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I agree with you. You're welcome.
So Mitun is
back to you.
Yeah, Mitun is sharing something, the same philosophy for the day. For Lori, is big bosses can get their big numbers if you let go of the big egos. You know, it's yeah, ego is a big problem generally with the bosses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But Mitun, if I go with that quote in front of one of the the big bosses, the only thing which I can see next time is my paper of absence and leave. So
how many months they will pay you?
I can show it to you.
that means okay in some countries.
Yeah, or maybe the number 10, like 0 and 1, but just the middle finger.
Yeah, true is.
But absolutely, Mitun, I give credit to that. It's a really true quote. Absolutely. We do know from Uncle Ben that with great power comes great responsibility, from Spider-Man. So yeah, it's absolutely also true for Yeah, so it's really true for those kind of people as well.
Yes.
Excuse me, I have a question. I
Hello,
don't want to
Renata.
take too much time, but it's because I work it as change manager for many years. As project manager, I started in 2002, and most of them with multicultural teams, but always studying and guiding the project based on change management, because change management for me is the base for success, because it's how to deal with people. Maybe you are going to think how stupid I am, but I'm not sure if I if I really understood. But at the beginning, uh, uh, sorry, it's Vic, I say your name in
Yeah,
your presentation.
yeah,
Vic, thank you, sorry.
that's
You
all right.
said You said at the beginning that you used ICQ Global. I'm sorry about my voice. I'm just leaving a pneumonia behind. So
Oh,
so you said that you use ICQ Global to measure um, uh, the expectation. This is what I understood. The expectations of the people concerning the project. Okay, so what was important to them, at what point they were, so you could start the project. Have you used the ICQ Global to, because usually when we start a project and we have meetings with the management board, we have to choose those who will participate, those who will be key people in the project. And then we do a selection supported by HR. And I see now that I know ICQ Global for 2-3 months, that it would be an amazing tool to choose those who are going to lead, like a big project, for instance, that will take to many countries, or if only one country. Did you use, you and Sinto, did you use ICQ Global for working with the management board to choose those who would be important part, what we name key users of this project, those that is going to be in the future, those who is going to train the trainers, those who will describe the process, who will have an interaction with the whole team that will do the communication? This is one question. And the second, concerning the KPIs, did you use ICQ Global? Because when we do a project of change management, we have the expectation that people need to change. And did you use ICQ Global to measure how people are changing, how effectively they are changing, aligning with the strategy and the goals of that project?
Sinto,
If
you
you
wanna
need, I
answer
can repeat
first?
some part if I was not clear.
Sinto, you wanna answer first?
For me, well, I think that how I use the global disk, it depends of the outcome that the client wants, right? And if I need a communicator and I need someone, so it can help us to know the strengths of the person, what we are looking for. And how I use it with HR, or just to recognize or to discover, why a person is not fitting in a group, or because the homophilic diversity, or because the strengths of the person. Kind of, you put a person who is very extrovert and you put it in a kind of very introvert environment, the person would be frustrated. It's happened with a Russian girl in Thailand, and what we did is not to change her, what we did is explain her what was the issue, and to the company said, okay, we have this, you already put this person here, and what they did is relocate her and combining. But I think that we can use it to look for the key person, but we need to know the outcome, right, that the company wants. And as much people you can measure, especially if you can measure the company, if you measure it by culture, right, you will see the environment that kind of affect them. But if you can measure the people, you know, are you know, kind of you know, I've been a little bit lost. So the thing is,
I see. I understand your answer as a yes. Yes.
You know, it's a kind of to mate, right?
Yeah, I just say that changing people, it's not changing the essence of the people.
Yeah.
But if they are going to achieve a goal, they need a team to be more doer, or they need a team to have a different profile. So
Yes.
this is what I meant. But it's okay. I've got the answer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for me, Wiki, I think that Wiki can go ahead too, because she was, you know, for me the thing is the the people is asking me to change, I'm not a really fan of the word change. For me, it's kind of amplify or wide your as we said, the comfort zone, and to understand with the uncommon sense of the other person. That is, you know, for me the most important, because change, yeah, you can change, you know, how I am. It's really difficult for me to change. What I can be is aware about how I am, and if I need to use other parts of my personality. And this is why I think that the quest is really important. And if they finish the quest, is when they will get, you know, they unlock this potential that they have, right? This is, I think, that is so important to get the quest. I think it's a really important to measure. It's not a, is a kind of, yeah, you cannot measure by numbers, and you cannot measure by, you will measure with actions, you will measure with results. This is my point of view. This is my point of view, my explanation. If someone is asking me, if you are my client, I will reply you this.
Okay. Okay, it's very nice. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And in my case, I don't use the word change at all. What I use is, like, if the change is towards the safety environment, so we use the safety as the keyword in each program. And when you talk about safety, again, like in the beginning, I was talking about how the buy-in of everyone in the field can be different, because we have a case where one person can't even talk or explain what safety is. At the same time, he is actually a social leader, a social informal leader. So the program for this type of person is to teach this guy the narration, how to explain safety to the people who can influence him. So that's one of the reasons we don't use one KPI. For us, if this person can make a change even a little bit, we need to celebrate this, because we can see how hard it is for every one of them to change. That's what, and it's, so far it's working. And because we don't use the word change, because I think everyone, like Sinto said, the word change can be intimidating, can be scary for most people, because people actually don't like change. But that's, so we reframe a lot of things in the field, positive things. We even create a video session, because initially the board wants to apply, okay, we just send them to, or we just call someone who to teach them public speaking. Not everyone like public speaking. Maybe this person, the way they influence people is just hanging out in the coffee shop or in the cafe or in the, you know, in the in the food.
At this point, this is exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
If you need someone to speak publicly, and you have a team that you are starting to work, and you don't have any idea of who is able to speak in public. So did you use ICQ Global to identify those who could speak in public? That is exactly my question. So using ICQ Global to identify those who would fit better in such positions, and maybe in a culture where people need to work as they are working, as you said, with safety. They need to be more C. So we need to give some trainings on procedures, and it has to be followed. That's exactly the point that I meant.
Yeah, that's correct. In when you talk about HR recruiting, that's probably the way you go about it, where you apply the global disk first. But in my case, with this particular client, it works the other way around. We identify first the people who will have direct impact to change, then we do the global disks. So it's the other way around.
Okay, perfect. It was very interesting. It's a different way to do change management. Not a different way to do, but using this tool in a certain point that it's very interesting. Congratulations. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Do we have more questions? So, more questions? More questions? Wiki, do you have questions? Wiki? Wika, sorry.
Yes.
Wika. Do you have questions?
No, thank you. No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. So I, one question at 1, question at 2, question at 3. I think that there is no more questions, not even in the chat, no even on microphone. So thank you everyone to join us. Thank you Wika to be so amazing partner. I love your music and I love your you know that I was in love with the presentation, and for me the most important is you see two people with a very kind of different styles, how we present, how we use our strengths to make us understand, and this is what I love, is this diversity and this inclusion that we have here, and how we kind of support one each other. So this is my point. And if there is nothing to say, Wika, say something, right?
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I hope it gives you ideas, and I hope it's beneficial for you. I enjoy sharing my experience with you. So please feel free to contact me if you have more questions. I'm happy to share more. It's probably too short for me to share everything because the project is still ongoing until now. It's not finished yet.
It's never finished.
Keep us updated. Keep us updated. I'd like to know how it's moving on. It would be very nice to know.
You have amazing results already with your project, are you?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, it's still in the middle of project. It's not at the end yet.
Yes. Okay, so well, to just let you know that we will have more webinars and with practitioners. We are preparing something for universities, I think that for next month, and we will keep you all updated, and anything that you will need from any of us, so just drop us a mail. For me, I love to contribute, and Wika too. And thank you Mitun for come, Tanya, Susan to stay here, Senia here, Lily, and Nikki.
Oh, Nikki is here, yeah.
And So we will probably will make some kind of copies, and we will send it to you. If you want, just ask to Kasia or just to Wika or to me or to Chaba or whoever. Okay.
Yeah, just drop us a message and we will send you anything you need.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'm going to close to stop the recording. It's already stopped.